Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have said this a few times now, but I have no idea what this book is about. I picked it up because I know a lot of other people are reading it right now, and I want to find out my own personal opinion of it. It seems kind of interesting to me. I've heard a lot of good things, but I honestly don't expect myself to actually like it, but I'm gonna try and give it a read. So this will be a cozy reading vlog with me. So I'm starting on page 1, and already I have something interesting. It doesn't start like a normal book. This is like a journal article, like a New York Tribune article about Evelyn Hugo. So that is interesting in and of itself. This is 2017. So this article is written in 2017, and it says film legend and 60s it girl Evelyn Hugo has just announced that she'll be auctioning off 12 of her most memorable gowns. Who was it? Elizabeth Taylor. So Elizabeth Taylor, who had like multiple husbands or whatever, and she was like, I don't know what decade it was. I have to go look it up, but I think it was Elizabeth Taylor who had multiple husbands, and she was really famous. I wonder if this is like a retelling of like, or not like a retell, of course not a retelling, not a true story, but like I wonder if this is based off of actual like past celebrities. And does that mean it goes back to the 60s? Making her way to Los Angeles in the 50s to leaving show business in the 80s. Interesting. Okay, I had no idea. I will read. There's no way. I'm already still burning. So hold me close. Now, baby. Okay, I'm confused. I'm on page 4. It's following a reporter or a journalist named Monique. Is that the main character? It's just what is happening here? Evelyn Hugo chooses Monique to do a tell-all, I guess. I don't know why, but I thought this was gonna be from Evelyn Hugo's perspective. I will read. All right, I'm on page 10. Like I said, I was disappointed that we are not following Evelyn Hugo. Instead, we're basically going to be interviewing her through Monique's eyes. It's really disappointing that they're trying to hook, from a writer's perspective, the author is hooking with the plot, and I very much would prefer to be hooked by the main character's like internal struggle. And like we have Evelyn Hugo, who from the start, we really don't care about her. We know the books about her, but I still don't care. And then we're introduced to Monique. I don't care about Monique either because I know nothing about her. The first chapter is literally we're just dumping information about Monique. Like, this is what she did. And Evelyn Hugo's asking her to do this article. We don't know why. And Monique is self-conscious. Like, we're told that. You know, we're shown it a little bit, but really we're also told like, oh, I should stop being so, I should be more confident in myself. It's like, okay. So I'm not hooked, needless to say. Like, I've not hit the hook point where I'm like, yeah, I definitely, like, I could still put this down and be like, I'm not interested. So we'll see. Obviously I'm going to stick it out and I'm going to actually like read it, but as of right now, I'm not drawn in. Like, there's no stakes. I don't care about the main character. I don't care about Evelyn Hugo, but we'll see. Those are my initial thoughts on this. I am on page 26. Here's what I don't understand. Obviously, okay, so Monique and Evelyn Hugo just met for the first time, and Evelyn is explaining what she wants Monique to do, which is to write basically a biography about her life for after she dies. Okay. Now, Evelyn picked Monique specifically, who is like, sounds like a fairly new writer, doesn't have like much experience, doesn't have like, she's not like well-renowned, whatever. They start getting to an argument about word choice and making sure you're picking like the right words and saying the right thing and understanding. And like Evelyn is like attacking Monique. And I'm sitting here thinking, Evelyn could pay anybody in the world. She could pay the best top level writer, journalist, whatever, to write her autobiography. Why is she picking Monique? I can almost guarantee you that there is a reason for it, but we don't know, obviously. I think that's probably like the big, I'm assuming it's some kind of big twist, right? But it's frustrating. It's actually frustrating as the reader. And there is a lot of explanations. Again, like, okay, so Monique, in chapter 2, we learned that she had a person. I don't know if they were married. Yeah, they were married. Sorry. So her husband left. And we learned that. And I don't know. It's just like, again, I don't care about Monique. I don't care about her life. Like it feels like added just to like flesh her out. Like it doesn't feel like her husband and her husband leaving actually means anything. And maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse and I'm being very nitpicky, but I also don't like the writing. I'm not a fan. It's like right here, Evelyn shrugs. This conversation is very low stakes for her. And then a sentence above that. Wait, back it up. I must have misunderstood you. I promise I'm very thoughtful with my words. Evelyn shrugs. This conversation is very low stakes for her. You're using very twice in 3 sentences. Within 3 sentences, the word very is in there twice. If a new author, if I were to put that in my novel and pitch it to an agent, I'm never going to get picked up. Never going to get picked up because I'm using very multiple times real fast. I don't even like to use very once. Like it's not. Also the pacing just feels like there's a couple points where she's like meeting Evelyn and it's like we're getting the explanation of the scenery of the house or the street they're walking down, and I'm just like, I zoned out. I completely zoned out. But I'm not a fan of scenery and like, you know, I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. So I'm again being nitpicky, I'm being particular, but I feel like a situation where she's meeting this woman for the first time should be like, and she's anxious and she spilled coffee on the woman's rug. Like, it makes me uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable for her because she's being very weird with Evelyn Hugo. Like she's she's saying the wrong thing. Like she brought up sins. Like she was like, so you want me to tell everybody about your sins? Who says that to a celebrity? No matter how much gossip is out there and you're meeting a celebrity for the first time, you're not going to be like, oh, all your sins in your life. No. I don't know. Whatever. I'm into it. Like, I don't know. There's definitely like, I had moments earlier when I was reading where I was like, I got cozy and I was like, I kind of like this, but it could also be the book. I like reading paperbacks, and I've read a Kindle book and started reading a hardcover book, so I haven't read a paperback in a little while, or like at least like a thin one. Like I was reading, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, which is like huge and hard to hold on to, so I haven't read like a thin paperback book in a little while, so of course it feels good, but I don't know. I'm interested. And then they went out to eat. They're going out to eat. I know I'm like telling you everything that happened in the first 20 seconds. I promise this will not be all spoilers, but they're going out to eat at this like small town place. It feels like a small town. They're in New York City. I don't know. It feels like a small town place to me. I'm picturing like a local restaurant, but it's like she just goes out and she's not like attacked by people or like doesn't need like, even if she's 70 something or something like that, right? And she's not an actively famous actress, people still recognize her. So I feel like she would need some kind of security detail or something, to be out and about. And so she just walks into a restaurant. And again, this woman could pay anybody to do this for her. And yet she's picking this woman and she's like really irritated about the way she's talking to her and her word usage and whether or not she understands her. Well, fine, I'm sure if that doesn't come out to be a thing, that the reason why she picked this woman, I'm going to be very upset. But I'm sure there's a reason why she picked this woman. That's where I'm at, 26 pages in. So I'm on page like 45 or something. Turns out this is like kind of dual POV, and it goes back in time with Evelyn. So we do get her point of view and her perspective. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's dual POV and alternating timelines, kind of, or it's like we're reading the autobiography, kind of, if it would have been written in Evelyn's I format, first person Evelyn, which maybe that is how they're writing the autobiography. That's possible. So it goes all the way back to her first husband, and that's where we're starting, which I guess is fair. It makes sense that we're going to do this. Like, we're going to see her life. But again, I still just I don't entirely care about Evelyn Hugo still. Like, could I still put this book down and be like, I'd be all right with never picking it up again? Yes. I am not asking any questions other than why she picked Monique. That is really the only question that I have. I do kind of like the whole, Evelyn's like power thing. Like, I take what I want, I get what I want. I do kind of like that because it's so not like me as a person, so it's fun to hear somebody be like, I work to get what I want. But it's also kind of sad because she's like, in the beginning, again, this is like the first chapter from her perspective, but like, she doesn't like have sex because she likes it. Like, she does it to get what she wants. So it's like everything in her life is just getting her way. She doesn't actually have like joy or, anything real in her life. And she's taught very early to lie. And she even says herself, like, she doesn't know how not to lie, which is interesting. And that part makes me wonder if in some way she's kind of an unreliable narrator, or if she's actually telling the truth in her parts of the story. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Of course, I'm going to keep reading because that's my job, right? Finish the book and tell you if it's any good. As of right now, like I said, I could put it down and never pick it up again and probably be okay with that. But that's where I'm at right now. Okay, thoughts and feelings so far. I am on page 140 and I was not able to update, but around page 70, the way I was feeling is bored. Nothing felt important, and like I can kind of see like how Evelyn is changing and how Hollywood is like affecting her as a person and the way that she can deal with people and be manipulated but also manipulate others. Turned her into a liar. Like, I could see all the bad things that like the fame was doing for her, and like her marriages, or at least the second marriage, was doing to her. Okay, and then page 73, things took a turn, and I really feel like, okay, my initial response was that I felt disappointed. I'm disappointed and this is not disappointed in the book. This is disappointed for Evelyn, that she finally felt like a connection or pleasure in being with somebody, but then that ended up turning into a bad relationship. So I felt bad for her there. And I don't want to get into the details with that because I don't want to spoil anything. The back and forth between Evelyn's timeline, Monique's timeline, it felt very jarring, or so far. I'm not done, but it feels very jarring because it's like I get really settled into what's going on in Evelyn's life and following Evelyn's character, and then all of a sudden we're snapped to Monique for just a couple pages at a time too. Like, I hate that. I hate, like, we know, the only things we know about Monique is what we're being told about Monique. Like, we know that she is not very confident in herself. We know that she's basically the opposite of Evelyn. Evelyn is very, like, she fights for herself and she's manipulative and strategic, and Monique is just kind of like, this is my life. I know about her parents, and I know about her ex-ish husband, but not much. Again, not much. Like, I know their names. I know that her dad died when she was young, but other than that, no, nothing about Monique. I don't see Monique in action. I don't see Monique living her life. I have no idea like, she has no goals. Like, she's just a person. It's just a person, and not a very interesting one, which is, you know, I don't know. I mean, who's the main character? I guess Evelyn. But why is Monique there then? Why even bother? And the other big complaint I have with Monique is that her father died before she was 8, or around the time of 8, whatever, 7, 8. I can't even remember because I just don't care. And she's remembering like all of these really, really deep like sentiments that he gave to her before the age of 8. She remembers them like clearly, and they've stuck with her. Look, my dad died when I was 17. I don't remember deep sentiments. I don't remember, I barely remember like his face. I don't remember his voice. I remember a couple of funny things that he's told me. I remember the things that he liked, but I wouldn't know deep sentiments or life lessons that he gave me. So it's unbelievable. It's very unbelievable that before the age of 8, she would remember these kinds of things. Also, so Evelyn really disclosed some pretty heavy stuff at one point. And we switch over to Monique, you know, going back to her apartment alone. And she sits there and goes through like photo albums of her father and like her family, or, you know, pictures that he's taken, whatever. It's like photographs, and she's like reminiscing about her father. She doesn't even think about what Evelyn has told her. Like, how could you hear something so like significant about somebody's life and just be like, oh, well, here's my life, you know? Like, she should at least be reflecting. And I get that like maybe the author didn't want to repeat what was being said, but at least in some way having Monique like see it through her perspective, through her lens of her own experiences, and being like, you know, it's really crappy what Evelyn's been through, but absolutely nothing, not even a nod to like acknowledging she heard anything. I find that frustrating. And oh, the other thing too is she's hearing all of these things about Evelyn that like nobody knows, nobody's ever heard of before. And her perception, Monique's perception of Evelyn doesn't come through. Like we have her initial perception of Evelyn, which she's very nervous about meeting her. She's very anxious. She sees her as like this high-end celeb who has a lot of power. And as she's hearing Evelyn's story, her perception of Evelyn doesn't change. Or at the very least, we don't get any narrative or indication of Monique's thoughts towards Evelyn as she's hearing the things about Evelyn's life, which I feel like your perception of somebody as you get to know them and you know the things that they've been through, you're going to see them in a different light, and we're not getting that at all. So again, I don't see the point of having Monique in this book at all. Page 99 really got me like, oh boy. There is some pretty good like typical 50s like drama. It's one of these like news article things. I was like, oh, 50s, typical 50s drama. I was like, I just had a reaction to that, which was fun because for the most part I haven't reacted much to this book. I do think it is making me feel things, and when I step away from it and I go about doing my normal daily stuff, like I do think about it, but I don't know if that's just because I'm reading it kind of fast. But I don't know, it's like making me feel like I should have more self-confidence and feel like I have more power over my life than I currently think I do. Like it's like Evelyn is like rubbing off on me, and I'm starting to get into Evelyn's story a little bit, but honestly, like these first 140 pages, like for the most part, it's just dragged on. Like I've zoned out a couple times. It's done a couple like conversations or things happening where I'm just kind of like, wait, what's going on? And it's just kind of a woman living her life in Hollywood. It's not even like there's some drama. She obviously goes through some bad things, but it's not, you know, Keeping Up with the Kardashians was interesting. More interesting than this. But yeah, that's where I'm at 140 pages in. And hopefully it gets more interesting. I hope there is some good plot twist. I guess that's what I'm holding out for right now, is a plot twist. Like if people weren't like raving about this book, I wouldn't be reading it. I still, at this point, 140 pages in, I would probably just drop it and never come back. Another complaint I have about this book, and I feel like that's all I have is complaints about this book, but the Forbidden Love, which is talked about, I read the back. The Forbidden Love is, and here's the thing, like I love the Forbidden Love trope, But in this one, it is all the bad stuff, like the frustrations, the we shouldn't be doing this, we can't do this, just all the bad that comes with forbidden love, and none of the good, none of the stolen kisses, none of the butterflies, none of the feels. Like, I don't feel for the romance at all. And I know, I guess that's not what this book is meant to be about, but it is mentioned in the back of the book, so I feel like there should be some sense of romance, and there is none. And then as far as like, as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in a tragic and irreversible ways. So you have to like get through the whole thing to find out, which fine. And I do have to say that the one good thing that this author does is like, I guess the curiosity seeds, you know, like at the ends of the chapters, like she does say things where it's like, okay, I'm curious to see what that means. Oh, right here. Evelyn wants me for something and she wants it bad. And now I'm finally starting to suspect that I should be scared. Very interesting. And I don't think we're going to get the payoff to that until the end of the book, you know, but that is a very interesting thing that makes me wonder, okay, at first I was just curious. Now it's like, should I be scared about why these two are connected? I'm kind of just reading it. I'm not loving it. I'm on page 185. I wouldn't pick it up on my own accord. So I don't know. It's okay. It's not going to be a 5-star. I don't even know if it's going to be a 4-star. We'll see. Maybe the payoff will be worth it. Maybe, but I doubt it. I have no high hopes. I just wish there was more tension. I wish there was more suspension in the stories, you know, not just how are Evelyn and Monique connected, you know, like she's old by the start of this. So it's like, you know, she doesn't die, you know, like, I don't know. And she's single, you know, as an elderly person, like you find that out at the beginning pages. So I'm not telling you anything, but it's sad. I feel bad for Evelyn and the way she had to live her life, even though she was wealthy and famous, and she probably had more choice than she gave herself credit for. It's not doing it for me. I don't know why people like it. Anyway, to read on. I have to admit, with all of my complaints about this book, it does a really, really good job at feeling real, in the sense of like, oh, Daniel, Danny, I don't know what's happening. It does a good job in the sense of feeling very real. As I'm reading this, like, I actually feel like what happened and that Evelyn Hugo is a real person and that her history is real. Like between the story, you know, I think she did a really good job hitting like the historical like feel of the 50s, and then these like little like news postings in the book. Like, it really does feel like I could Google Evelyn Hugo and she was like actually a real actress. Like the movies names, like Anna Karenina, Little Women, like those are real movies out there. Like, she did a really, really good job at feeling like this is like historical, not even fiction, like historical nonfiction. Like, it's a biography about a real actor. What is the category of this? Is it historical fiction? Because technically it's about actress in the 50s. It's fictional, it's historical, but it's not about history. I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole different tangent, but it does feel like Evelyn Hugo is a real person. Like, I feel that way. So she did a really good job with that. My car may be incredibly loud, so I am sorry for that, but I have to share my opinions of where I'm at is page 350, and around page 327-ish, 327-ish. I'm like sitting there, I'm reading, I'm like, let's get this over with, like boom, move, and then bam! It's like, whoa, what is happening? Oh my God. And this book made me cry. Like, I did not expect anything that could have happened, things that I thought were gonna happen. I still didn't expect it to actually bring me to tears, but it did. It's so sad. Like, it's so sad. But and I still haven't, okay, so I think I've gotten to the point where Evelyn and Monique's life like are interconnected. but it hasn't like explicitly said that that is how they connect. But I think I found it, and if that's the case, whoa, just absolutely blown away. Like, and it's not even like a plot twist so much, like it's just the events that happen in people's lives and people's, you know, doing things that I don't want to give things away, you know. But like, just wow, just my mind, I'm just so like, that's crazy. It's crazy. And it was done very, very well. Mind you, there are things I don't like about this book. I have expressed those thoughts. I don't like the way that she goes like, and we went there and we went there and I sat down there and I sat down here. Like, I don't like that type of like narrative. She only does it a handful of times, but still it feels like it could be written a lot smoother. Like, it should have been smoothed out. And if she wasn't already a published novelist, I'm not sure that it would have ever gotten published the way that it is, but I digress. Anyway, I'm excited to see Monique discover what I think I've discovered, because that'll be very interesting. I wonder what she does with this information. But that's where I'm at with this book. I'm almost done. Like I said, I'm on page 350. There's like 385 pages. It's 385 pages, so I'm almost done. I'm so close to being done, and I can't wait to see how this all unfolds. I finished it. This book had me bawling my eyes out. I did not expect to cry again, like at the end. Like, I did not expect to cry so much from this book, and I think this is going to have a lasting impact on me. So it had me thinking about how little freedom and autonomy we think we have in our lives, and how much we pressure ourselves to do what we think other people want us to do. When in reality, we have so much more freedom and autonomy, and we should fight as hard as we can and stop at nothing to get what we really, really want, as long as you are super, super clear on what that is. Like, what is it that you want out of your life? You have to be laser focused and pick like the right thing to go after, because if you don't, at the end, you're going to regret the way that you lived your life. And these are all things that I was thinking about going into this book, you know, about my own life. So this just reiterated all of that. And I think it hit me on that personal, deep level, but also just for Evelyn and for Monique. Like, I cried. And then the acknowledgements, oh my God. Like, the last couple lines of the acknowledgements page, oh, that had me bawling my eyes out too. So all in all, right now I'm giving this 4 stars. There are like editing things that could have been done to make it flow smoother. I think, you know, originally I didn't like the structure of back and forth between Monique and Evelyn. Now that I've gotten at the end of it, I think that it's worth it to sit through that and to go through it. I do think Monique's life and Monique's parts could have been fleshed out a little bit more. The book could have been a little bit longer, but ultimately I'm okay, you know, with the back and forth and the alternate timeline thing. Like, it ends up working in the end. I don't know, you know, I do wish that the romance was a little more romance, and that we experienced it as the events unfolded through Evelyn's perspective a little bit more. I think those are my only real critiques about this, you know, some editing in like some narrative, Evelyn's romance being more real and in the moment, especially with the one that mattered, and that Monique's life was a little bit more, you know, just like a little bit more to Monique and her side of the story. But yeah, so right now I'm giving it 4. That could change as time passes, but this is right after finishing, you know, the book. Do I think it was worth it? Yeah, I actually read this pretty fast, and I found myself wanting to pick it up and read. There were obviously moments where I was like, okay, but when the realizations hit of like what's happening, like, it is very profound, and it's very like, oh my God, this is happening. I can't believe this is what's happening. There are a couple moments of that. And I do wish that in the book, they list off all of her husband's names. I wish they didn't do that, because as you're reading the story, you're like, okay, I know this person's going to be your husband in the future. So I didn't like that part of it. I wish that was left secret. But yeah, so 4 stars. Pick it up if you're considering it, especially if you want to cry and think about the seriousness of life and get a little philosophical about things and learn how to have more of a backbone in some ways, because I think Evelyn kind of teaches you that it's okay to have that backbone. So anyway, those are my thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll do these videos, new vlogs and stuff as time goes on, and I will be putting up my April recap. I'm making really good progress on all the books I plan to read, and I look forward to seeing you next time. I hope you have a wonderful day.